Hello and welcome to The Real Sex Education. I'm Diggory Waite and I'm joined as always by accredited sex and relationship therapist Cate Campbell. Hello, Mum.
Hello, Diggs.
Mum, we have had a review on Apple Podcasts.
Have we?
Yes. And listen, it's a really, really great in-depth review. And as I say, people, if you give us a review, a 5-star one, and you write it out for us, we will read it out on the podcast. And that's absolutely the case. This is on Canadian Apple Podcasts.
Oh.
I know, yeah.
Ooh.
And they're called Give Me My Alias. And they say, thanks, it's fun and honest.
5 words.
5 words.
A handful of words.
A real handful of words.
Okay.
Would you say this is fun and honest? If you could pick 2 words to describe the podcast, would they be fun and honest? What would they be?
Friendly.
Friendly. Okay, that's good. Nice. Friendly and sex.
I'll go with fun.
You'll stick with fun. So they've done a pretty good job. One thing that we are not is honest. Absolutely not.
Is that true? Is that true?
Is that true?
True?
Exactly. Come on. So good. Okay, I think let's have some fun and be honest in our responses to this question, which is a great question from another listener, a 19-year-old bisexual Dutch woman living in India.
Ooh.
And they say, Dear Diggory and Cate, my question is about long-distance relationships. My boyfriend and I are going to work and travel in Australia for a year, but have different interests. I want to work and travel while he wants to work for 5 months on the opposite side of the country. We want to meet after the 5 months and travel together. We've been together for 3 months. What are the advantages of either taking a break, doing 5 months of long distance, or compromising our plans and meeting each other halfway somewhere? Also, what are your tips for maintaining a healthy long-distance relationship and maintaining a sexual relationship whilst being long distance? I love the podcast and listen to it with my mum a lot. And I had some docile for lunch and it was extra crispy. Thanks a lot. Heart emoji.
Oh.
Wow. Listens with your mum. That's so sweet.
Yes. You broadcast with your mum, so whoa.
Yeah, exactly. I listen to the podcast with my mum. How about we do this? Because as per usual with these questions, there is a lot to go through. There's a lot of things that this person has asked. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So how about this? This writer, she's given us 3 options here for what they should do.
Yes.
The options are taking a break, doing 5 months of long distance, or compromising. Taking a break. The first option. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not really clear about any of this because they've only known one another for 3 months.
I think that's the big thing, isn't it?
It's hard to take a break. And I mean, I have quite strong views about long distance relationships.
Oh, really? Okay,
well, it's funny. There's been an outbreak
of
long distance relationships.
Right. Could you call that an outbreak? Is that?
Well, it tends to happen like that. In therapy, you tend to get a whole chunk of things all come along at once, like buses.
Yeah.
So, if you're getting people who enjoy eating smelly socks, you'll get 3 people who enjoy eating smelly socks.
Right.
And then you never see them again. You'll never come across that again.
When was the last time you saw someone who liked eating smelly socks?
August last year.
So I'm just thinking that wasn't you pulling something out of your head. That was a genuine thing. Okay, but long distances, August this year is probably when the last time you heard about that because there's an outbreak.
There is. And it's not just me. There's a lot of people talking about this. There's a lot of people talking about long distance because I think there's a lot of people talking about relationships in general and dating in general because it is considered quite traumatizing at the moment, the way things are.
Relationships and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's all difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, post-pandemic, it's like throwing it all up in the air and then seeing where it lands.
Yeah, Mum just threw her hands in the air and knocked her microphone in really quite a flamboyant, extravagant
Did you hear
way.
a knock, though? You didn't, did you?
I did. I've got my headphones on. You don't listen to the podcast. You don't know.
I didn't hear a knock.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I can do a knock if you like.
Don't do that. That's really bad for the compressors. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going on. And there are sort of traditional things where people say, oh, right, well, you talk regularly, you watch movies together, you have online sex, you watch porn together at the same time. You can imagine what they do online. But there are lots of things, you can play games online, you can have dinner at the same time. You can have breakfast at the same time. You know, all of those
Yeah,
sorts of things.
that's cute.
There are all those things. But what that does is to turn you into an old couple, you know, playing your Scrabble online before your time. And it's not necessarily what you would be doing if you were out there in the world. And the advice to video call every day, I would absolutely say don't do that.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Yeah. Because you want your date to be something special that you look forward to, not something that you dash to fit in. And you also want to have...
so good.
Yeah. Because you could, it's Friday, it's date night, you know. We're going to have dinner together. Yeah. So we're going to watch a movie on Monday. We do... But you know, whatever they're doing, if they're traveling then and working abroad, they should be enjoying the experience. And you've got to let one another get on and enjoy it. Now, the people I know who are doing long distance at the moment are not doing well with it. The people I know who did long distance 20 years ago, very successful. And I think part of the reason for that is that when you're online at the moment, you're seeing too much of one another and people are getting bored.
Wow.
So you think, oh, well, it's going to be great when we meet up again. But then all of a sudden, you haven't had a normal kind of courtship, if you like. If you start this early in a relationship, you're suddenly then dumped together, living together with all your bad habits and everything. All the hormones that would protect you from noticing that kind of thing have worn off because you've been...
So the hormones that make you fall in love,
Yeah, the honeymoon period hormones that bond you and make you think the other person's great. And then the hormones wear off and you go, ooh.
They eat socks and go and see a therapist about it, that sort of thing. Right. Yeah.
So, but the thing is that they will wear off really quickly. If you're meeting up every day and you're doing these homely things together, that you'll lose the hormones. And so you'll get cheesed off more quickly. And then you'll be moving in together and thinking, for God's sake, put the lid on the toothpaste. You know, and being irritated by all sorts of little things. And also people are not like they are. I mean, if you're playing Scrabble online, watching movies together, doing sex that you wouldn't normally do, you know, whatever. I mean, if you were at home meeting up, you would not be saying, oh, let's go and wank while we watch some porn together. I mean, you just wouldn't be doing that.
Well, I wouldn't. I actually wouldn't speak too soon in that.
Well, I'm sure some people do, and I mean, no, I'm not saying they don't enjoy watching porn, and I'm not saying that they don't occasionally
with their partner. I mean,
with their partner, and maybe even if their partner lives next door, they might be getting online and doing it. I absolutely nothing wrong with that.
You are right though. 3 months into a relationship, they are not going, come round my house and let's sit and watch porn together. They're just having sex.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that you're probably going to be doing if you don't have much time. You know, it is something that where you'll be fitting it in, and you'll be saying, "Oh, that was great. We feel connected." Or if your partner's away for a couple of weeks or something. This is, I mean, they're doing things they wouldn't normally do, and two, they're turning themselves into an old married couple. I would say put some boundaries in there if you want to. You know, meet up and do those things 1, 2, 3 times a week, no more. You know, send the odd text and stuff and say, how's your morning and things like that. But also, you know, meet other people, do other things.
Do you mean romantically there or just in general?
That's up to them. That's up to them, isn't it? What their rules are going to be.
Yeah.
But I have to say that an awful lot of people use long distance as a reason to not have to get involved and keep out of the dating scene. And, you know, and I mean, at this time of year, we're seeing it a lot because people are going to university saying, oh, I've got a boyfriend back home.
Yeah.
And
it means they don't have to actually engage with meeting people and getting out there.
Yeah,
it's because they're anxious, because they're scared, and they can stay in and FaceTime their boyfriend.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. And you know, you should not be pushed into doing something. But there is definitely a discourse around, you know, having lots of sex when you're away. And particularly when you go to university and things, you know, get on with it. So I can see why that would seem very threatening, and a boyfriend's or girlfriend or whatever friend is a very good idea. But when you're long distance, you're grown up, you're supposed to be out there, you know, meeting people, having fun, getting on with things. Don't let that be closed down by feelings that you want to develop this relationship when it's only 3 months old.
Yeah, I think for this particular case, that is the real key thing. It's 3 months. You're 3 months in. Like, you need to be absolutely certain that this is someone that you want to do this with. I mean, maybe they've got previous, maybe they were friends before, there might be some stuff. But because they've asked how can one make it work, you've said really good stuff there, which people talk about. You're talking about over-communicating almost. And I actually really like your idea of, you know, making those video calls and stuff special. And there's apps and stuff which you can use, like made for long distance, which mean that you start. There's loads of them, and some of them are to start the same Netflix show at the same time.
That's
and some
right.
Of them are,
I think the Netflix idea was great during lockdown. That was such a good idea, and you could party as well. You could have loads of
You could have loads of people.
Yeah.
And you can watch it as a family or whatever. So that's good. And also, there's ones that just give you like fun little quizzes and question and answer things in the day, and it will send it to the other partner, so you'll learn more about each other. It like creates conversation starters. Mum is yawning. It's kind of true, because you have to sort of fabricate these conversation starters. Maybe it's not right, and then there's obviously some sex ones.
You know,
but
there are all these things where they say these are the questions you can ask your partner. Oh, fuck me, if you can't think of your own questions, honestly, I mean, seriously, how boring is that? Or, you know, come up with your own questions and have your own conversations. But online is not, even though it's lovely, it's not the same as real life. It's just not.
Yeah. Okay, Mum, does long distance relationships, do they work?
Sometimes they do, yeah.
Okay, because
I mean, sometimes they can be really hot. Oh no, I mean, you know, there are some, and you know what? If you're doing something you really want to do and you're staying in touch with somebody you want to stay in touch with, and you've got lots to tell them when you have a conversation, because you're long distance, you should have plenty to talk about. You don't need to ask them bloody questions from an app. You know, it should be. It's just monetizing shit, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, people's grief.
Yeah.
The people's grief at their relationship being long
but
distance.
You know, everything's casual. I mean, how old is she? 19, right?
19. She's 19.
She's very young.
3 months.
And you know, it seems long when you're 19, probably, but I would say yes, meet in the middle if you want to, for some fun and actually meeting, because you're in the same country. Yeah,
that's another thing with long distance. It's like, it's always good to have something in the diary to look forward to. That those regular meetups, ideally, and so that would be nice. But I sort of
can I just interject there with the thing about the? I mean, yes, it is always good. That's what I mean about the not video calling every day, because then you've got something to look forward to. Yeah. But if you're only meeting up for a weekend here and there, everything you do. And in the early part of a relationship, everything you do should be fun. The context is really the date rather than the relationship quite often, especially these days. But if you're going to be talking as often as people often do long distance, not only are you stopping yourself getting out and meeting people, but you're accelerating the relationship in a way that wouldn't normally happen. And it's all around fun. And so when you're back, people often come back off long distance and move in together. Big mistake, because then they're into the humdrum of everyday life, and the context previously has been fun, having fun together. And it's really difficult to put the brakes on and make that emotional stop and say, oh, we've got to think about money and, you know, walking the dog and doing the washing up and things, when it's all been fun before. And it is hard. You have to realise online is not offline, and you've got to do both.
Let's go through then and talk about the options. So option 1, taking a break. Option 2, doing 5 months of long distance. And option 3, compromising. I think you and I might suggest a fourth option, which is maybe just taking a break, but a bit more than that, like sort of ending it. I sort of feel like if you were 30 and 3 years into a relationship and going long distance, then I'd be like, okay, do it. Do the 5 months apart and you guys will be all right. You're 19 and you're 3 months into a relationship. The taking a break thing, it allows, you know, it's nice because it allows you both time to focus on, you know, your separate things, and you can do all that. But after only 3 months together, it's going to lead to you drifting apart. Doing 5 months of long distance, obviously it could work, but as we've just said, long distance is really challenging. And the compromising, yes, maybe you'll both get what you want, but actually what it might mean is you both don't get what you want and you both end up resenting each other, and then you're stuck for 5 months, both in a place where you don't want to be.
But the thing is, maybe it's about having some boundaries there in the first place and saying, you know, let's see how we go and meet up again at the end of 5 months and have dates, you know, have online dates and maybe meet in the middle if we want to or whatever.
But that conversation keeps it a lot more cash.
Yeah. I mean,
I like that.
you know, I think at 3 months, it's, you know, for most people, it's still quite casual at 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So you wouldn't want to tie yourself down, and you certainly wouldn't want to stop yourself having the experience that you'd planned when you planned to be in different places. So I think, keep it casual, see what happens. Have the boundaries there, arrange to meet up, see how it goes. And if you meet somebody else, well, that's great. I think this sounds a bit like somebody wants to cuff somebody.
Cuff?
And
what the hell do you mean by that?
I mean, somebody wants to make this relationship serious.
Yeah.
Before it's ready.
Cuff, my word. I want to cuff someone. It doesn't, anyway, sorry, I've never heard that. But someone wants to make this.
Cuffing season.
That's what cuffing season means.
Yeah.
Wow. I just thought that was the police. They were like, oh, you know, it's the end of their quota or whatever, and then they've got to start putting people in prison.
You weirdo.
What? That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, it's cuffing. I think I can't. Sorry, back. That's blown my mind. Back to it. I think you're right. I think it's like we are bending over backwards to make this work, and this could well be the person who's written in, and that's really sweet. But I sort of feel like as well at that age, and you know, if you guys are traveling, it's all loosey goosey anyway. You know, you'll probably get together at the end of this 5 months anyway, even if you take this break or you guys sort of end it. Or,
I
or
think
like your mum says,
really
keep
hot,
it super cash.
Couldn't it?
It could be, imagine the reuniting. That's wow. Get the cuffs out for that, but for another reason, am I right?
Lord almighty.
That's class. All right. I think that's quite enough of that. Shall we have a break and come back with 2 more questions?
Oh, 2.
After this, yeah.
Wow.
Welcome back to the Real Sex Education After School. My word, we're having a good time. And hey, we're having such a good time. I forgot to tell you how you can write in and have your own question answered by us. And more importantly, Mum, a real life sex and relationship therapist, accredited no less. Get in touch with us in the bio of this episode and the bio of our social media channels. We're at the RSC Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and X.
Formerly known as Twitter.
Quite right. Are we going to stop saying that ever?
No, everybody says it.
Still,
or they
really?
say, or if they don't say formerly known as Twitter, they say Twitter, now known as X.
Really? Yeah, because they're still tweets. I still see on BBC News they'll say blah blah tweeted this.
Yeah.
Even though it's like it's a post on X.
But it's
or it's a zeet.
It's
now they
so
do
boring
X-E-E-T.
now.
Yeah, everyone hates. Yeah. We shouldn't. You know what? Let's not get into
promote
it.
it.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe we should move to Threads.
Yeah, that's just people complaining though.
Yeah, and also this is a production meeting that we're having on air. So perhaps you let us know, people, where you want us to find us. But you can mostly find us, and this is where most people message in to us, even just their thoughts and feelings, into that anonymous Google form in the bio of our social media channels. Like I said, it's anonymous. They just want your email, but that's not for us. We don't see that. This person has messaged in. Men. 17, straight, non-binary.
More than one.
Yeah, men 17, straight, non-binary.
Oh, lots of men 17.
I can't work out what's going on, but they've just simply said...
Or maybe they identify as more than one person.
I mean...
I like the sound of that. That sounds really cool.
Wonderful. Well, they say, how to make a girl squirt?
Oh, Lord.
And, yeah, listen, this is an open and shut case. Just go to our page on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're watching now on YouTube, scroll down. We've got a whole episode on it. So get there. But we've got another question here. That was open and shut. We've got another question here, which says, why do I always pee when I touch myself? That's the subject line. Hello, I'm biologically female, but identify as non-binary. I have found that whenever I touch myself, I always end up peeing. I think it's due to the fact that I try relaxing my vulva too much. It always ruins my mood, and I never end up organisming because of it.
Stop it.
And I never end up orgasming because of it. Is it common to pee while touching yourself, and is there any way to prevent it? I'm a big fan of your podcasts. You two always make me laugh. Love y'all. Love heart.
Oh, that's sweet, isn't it? It said orgasming anyway.
Oh, it said orgasming. Okay, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't read. I'm dyslexic. I can't read.
No, so am I now.
Really?
I'm
Are you?
going that way, yeah. Things
Can you
jump about.
develop dyslexia?
Apparently you can.
Wow. Well, you learn something new every day.
Anyway, a lot of people do.
Yes, this is not uncommon.
No, and a lot of people are doing this. It's quite ridiculous how many people are coming to therapy saying, I can't make my girlfriend squirt, or coming and saying, I can't squirt. And not everybody can. So your anatomy might not allow it.
Right. Are you suggesting this is squirting?
Well, it could be.
I think so. I think it definitely could be.
Especially if they're touching around the urethra. That's very possible because if you are trying to squirt or trying to make someone squirt, then touching the area around there is where the Skene's glands are, and that's where you're supposed to squirt from. Again,
listen to our episode on it.
Yeah.
You'll hear all about it, yeah.
So that's a possibility. But if you're touching around that area, people often feel like they want to wee before they squirt, and you have to get over that. And a lot of stimulation around that area can make people squirt.
Yeah.
So that is possible. But it can also make you wee. And a lot of people do wee during sex. It is not at all uncommon. Yeah. But I would say empty your bladder before you start.
Yeah, let's talk, if we're talking strategies, I think that's a pretty good strategy to, if you think, okay, sex on the cards tonight, or I want to have a wank tonight or whatever, it's like, let's go to the toilet before things are going to kick off.
And also, if you're on your own, does it matter?
Well, yeah, as long as you prepare for this scenario, put a couple of towels down, then, yeah, not really.
It's not that important, is it? I mean,
no.
Is there any way to prevent it? Potentially, probably you just want to explore more with an empty bladder and see what happens.
Yeah, try different positions.
Try touching different areas and see what happens. Because that idea, relaxing the vulva, I wonder if there's some pushing going on there. A bit of pushing, because that might cause weeing as well.
Is there anything to do with our favourite topic, which is the Kegel exercises about the pelvic floor muscles? Is there anything to do with that? Could there be? Well,
if your pelvic floor is a bit relaxed, if it's too relaxed, then people
this might happen.
Do have accidents. Accidents, they are more likely to wee when they're running or sneezing or aroused. Wow. That happens. This person doesn't say how old they are.
No, they haven't. But I'm thinking late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, well, it's unusual to have fucked your pelvic floor in your late teens, if you like. I mean, it's generally it's childbirth that makes the pelvic floor muscles go.
I was not expecting that. That was
funny.
Brilliant.
Well, no, I mean, it's
but it's still good to do them, right? The Kegel exercises.
Oh, you should definitely do Kegel exercises. If you have problems with what they call vaginismus, with pelvic pain because you tighten up so much, then you could do the opposite of Kegels, which is reverse Kegels, where you drop the pelvis. So you're kind of letting it go rather than tightening it. And it sounds as though that's what this person's doing. They're letting it go. But if you're going to let it go, then I guess, there might be a bit of pushing. There might be a bit more chance of weeing. But loads of people wee. Yeah.
It is so common.
It's so common, yeah.
Yeah, and like you say, the anatomy is so complex, to pin down one reason as to why this is happening. All the blood goes to the area, it makes people want to pee anyway, and all that sort of stuff. So there could be loads of reasons as to why it's happening. But also, just to say as well, could they go and see a doctor?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's definitely worth talking to a doctor about if you can find one these days.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah,
that's true enough.
It's always difficult to get, or go to a sexual health clinic. And talk to people there. Because the thing is, it might well be that some people arouse around their urethra. Some people don't like the feeling of touching the clitoris to sort of above, if you like, above it. And they prefer touching it below it because either that's more arousing or it's less irritating or whatever. But you are then coming into close contact with the urethra.
Yeah.
And if you're going to sort of stimulate it, then it's likely to make you want to wee.
Yeah.
So that's another reason for really, really experimenting. And it doesn't sound necessarily as though this person has a partner, and things might be different with a partner as well.
Yeah, that would be
might
interesting.
not happen.
That would be a very interesting variable to see what would happen then.
Yeah.
Because you might think that if you're too relaxed, I wonder with a partner, you might tighten up a bit more, you might be, and then actually things
you might
not
be more into it. Because
I didn't think about that.
Well, no,
didn't think they'd be enjoying themselves. Fuck.
But this sounds a bit as though they're a bit anxious anyway, and that might well be contributing to the whole thing. I just think that nowadays people are much more nervous about performance, because in the olden days, people just used to fumble behind the bike shed.
Yeah.
And now there's much...
And that's not a euphemism. You actually mean like there was a bike shed, usually at school, and people would go behind there. Yeah.
And people learn with a friend. And it's different now. It's much more likely that you're going to have watched some porn or have ideas about how things should be and be worried that you're doing it wrong. And in fact, you've got to learn somehow. And porn is fantasy. It's not what people really do.
Exactly, and the fumbling and the learning is is really fun.
That's the best
for a
bit.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, for a lot of people, it is.
I mean, so many people say that their sex lives were at their best when they were in their early teens. They were fumbling.
So get out there and enjoy it. Teenage pregnancy isn't high enough.
Dicks.
What? I'm joking.
That's not what I meant at all, as you well know.
It's true. But actually, we've got next week, we've got a really good question in about contraception. So then make sure you're subscribed, everyone, and following the podcast wherever you're listening to it or watching it now. Little wave for everyone on YouTube. Oh, wow. Really good wave from Mum. Check that out. Very, very worth it. Just skipping to the end just for that. Wow, that was good. Surprised I didn't hit my bloody microphone again. But we can talk through contraception there and more lovely real sex education. Mum, been a pleasure as always.
As always. Lovely to see you, Diggs.
Likewise. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Lovely to see all of your smiling faces. And we'll see you next time for some more real sex education.
Bye.
Bye.